Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another class, another front-end class, which is brought to you by Tech for All. So, in continuation from our last class, I want to consider some very popular HTML elements. So, to get started with our HTML, we know the drill by now. Just click on this tab. I have a new HTML file, test.html. I'm going to change it to index.html, and we just have a picture in this folder. Alright, so to get started with our HTML, I'm just going to click on the HTML. We see done with the 5. We'll click on it and it's going to generate this boilerplate. It's just a boilerplate that is required by our browser to get started working properly. Alright, so today we want to discuss block and inline elements. So, what are block and inline elements? Block and inline elements. Alright. So what I just did here is a comment. So a comment would make sure that whatever I write inside of it will not get evaluated. That is, the browser is not going to show whatever is inside here. So this is an HTML comment. So let us start with a block element. So what are block elements? Block elements are elements that take 100% of their weight. That is, they take 100% of their entire space. Wherever they are, they take 100%. They don't allow other elements to come beside them. An example is our heading elements that we've checked, which are the H1s, the H2s, H3, H4, all the way to H6. So these are all block level elements. Just write hello world. Just copy this. So these are all block level elements, and I'm going to see that inside the browser in a little bit. Another type is the paragraph. So the paragraph element is also a block element. It's a great day. So I believe by now we all have our extensions installed, which is the live server. I'm using the live server, so I'm just going to start it over here. So we're just going to see how it looks like in the browser. Alright, our live server started in port 5500. Let me just open the browser and let's see how it looks like. Okay, 5500. Alright, so this is our H1, H2, H3, H4 and H1. If you notice, they are coming below one another. Like, it does not go by its side. This is what a block level element means. It takes the whole width, everything. So any other element will just come below it. So our headings are block level elements. We also have container elements. So what are container elements? Let me just answer another comment. Okay, containers. So what are containers? So containers are they are elements that are used to group things together. So that's what the container is. Just imagine a normal irregular container. So we have elements that are containers that are used to group things together. And an example of that is the header. The header is a container. Section is also another container. We have the div. We have the footer. These are all containers. That is, they are used to group elements together. And of course, we have to use the right elements for the right job. So for headers are just used basically to introduce your website. That is, if you go to any website, the first thing you see, the first page, that is usually the header that contains your navigation. It contains an image that tells you, okay, what this website is all about. So that is an header. Then we have footer. Footer is just like the last one below that just tells you, okay, this is the closing part of the website. So all of these containers, they are all block level elements. They are block level elements. Another example of block level elements. In the last class, we spoke of links. So links in HTML, we have two types of links. We have the ordered list and the unordered list. Alright, so this is the unordered list, and it's going to take in the LIs, which are the list items. You can just say HTML, another list item, let's say CSS, another list item, let's say JavaScript. Let's save that. Let me also copy it likewise. Yeah. Let's save it and go to. If you notice too, they are all block level elements. They don't come side by side. HTML is taking this place, CSS is taking, JavaScript is taking its own width. They are not coming side by side. So these are examples of block level elements. So now, what are inline elements? Let me just put it inside the comment. Inline elements. So inline elements, these are elements that are the opposite of block level elements. That is, they do not take 100% of their width. They don't do that. They just take the width of their content. And a good example is the span. Let's see the span. Hello there. Okay, this is a span. Let's see another span. Oh, I don't have that break. Okay, let's see another span. How are you today? Let's save that. Let's go back to our. So if you notice, hello there, how are you just today is going side by side. So these are examples of inline level elements. They do not take 100% of their width. They just take the width that their content can take. Another example is the image tag, img. The image is also an inline level element. And we've not even spoken about image until now, so this is a good time to use the image. Alright, so what is an image? An image element is just used to represent images in HTML. Of course, if you go to a website, you are going to see images. Most websites contain images, and if you want to represent images in HTML, you have to use the image tag. Now the image tag comes with this src, which stands for source. So this source is just pointing to where your picture is. That's what this source is pointing to. Where exactly is this picture? Now this source, it can point to a photo in your folder. I have one like this, or it can also point to a photo on the web, an image on the web. You just have to pass the link to that image on the web, and it's going to show up. And this alt stands for alternative text. You can just, in case whereby let's say the internet connection is not so good, or for whatsoever reason your picture cannot load, so this alt is just going to point your users that, okay, well, this is what this person is talking about. So this is what this image means. It's just going to give a description of the image. And as we can see here, it said this attribute defines an alternative text description of the image, and it is best practice to always include it. So in case of devices like screen readers where the users cannot actually see the photo, so this alt tag, this alt property will tell such users that, okay, this is what this image is talking about. Alright, so if you want to use an image, like I said, this source is going to point to where the image is located. So I want to go to this 4.png. I'll just click on this ./4.png. So this, I'm just linking it to this 4.png. This dot is just like, okay, let me change my directory into this one where I am right now, then /4.png, which is what we actually want. So let us save that, and let's go to our browser. Now this is the image. So we have the image over here. We have the image right over here. Alright, we can also put a description of a beautiful lady. Alright, so this is a very good alternative text because it's describing what the image is all about. So another property that image elements contain is the width and height image. Is the width and height property, because you can actually style your properties in line, though it is not a best practice, but it is possible. You just have to use the style property style. You click on it. Let's say we want to reduce the height. Let's say height. Yeah, okay, that's height. Now let's give it 500 pixels. Yes, 500 px. Let's save it. Alright, you see it has reduced. Let me give it 200 to make it more clearer. Can we see it has reduced? And if you notice too, how are you? Hello there, how are you today? Then the image. These are all inline elements. They do not take 100% of their width. Another element we need to talk about is the anchor elements. So what are anchor elements or anchor tags? So these are elements that are used to link pages together. You can imagine you're in a website and you want to go to, let's say you want to go to YouTube. So anchor tags, they make this possible in HTML, and we just use the element name is A, just click on it. It's going to give you this href. So this href is just pointing that, alright, so this is where I want to go. So this href is just like the URL of wherever you are pointing to. So let's say I want to go to YouTube. Let me just say YouTube here. Now the href, of course, I'm going to use YouTube's URL. Alright, YouTube. Okay, this YouTube is right over here. So if we click it, we cannot get, did I write that correctly? YouTube. Oh, look at me. Alright, let me just change it properly. So YouTube. Alright, let's go back. Why is he doing this? Why is he doing this? HTTPS. Open. Oh, okay. Yes. So it's working properly. So this is going to open us to YouTube. Once we click on it, it's going to go to YouTube. Now this anchor tag, there's a property it provides us, and that is the target property. So this target property, it points to us that, alright, do we want to open this element, this YouTube, we want to open YouTube on the same tab as the one we have our project, or want to open it in a different tab. So it comes with this blank, parent, self, and top. So if we want a new tab, we're just going to use this blank. So whenever we click on blank, it's going to open up in a new place. It's going to open up in a new page. So let's just try that. So you can see YouTube is opening up in a new place. It's opening up in a new tab. If I change it to parent, and I open it up, you can see it is opening up on that same page. It's opening up on that same page. And by default, if you don't specify anything, it's going to take the parent. Parent is the default behavior. So it's going to open up in parent. That is, it's going to open it up on this same tab. If I don't specify a target element, it's going to open it up in this same tab. Alright, so these are anchor tags, and if you notice too, it's an inline element. it's also on the same line with this hello there, how are you, with this image and with these anchor tags. They are all inline elements. They are all inline level elements. Alright, then there's another popular HTML element that we've not spoken about, and that's the forms. So what are forms? Of course, we use forms to collect information on the web. In case you have a website where you want people to subscribe to your newsletter, you're just going to do that using a form. So that's the way you can use form. Or in case you have a website whereby you want to contact people's information, or you want people to sign in, you want people to log in, all those fields where you use to collect information, that's what we refer to as form in HTML. And forms, of course, they come with its own element. So there's a form element in HTML. That's just the FORM. That's just the form. So this is the form element. If I save it and I go to my browser, of course I'm not going to see anything. Yes, you're not going to see anything. So what is actually going to be taking all this information? They are called inputs. Inputs in HTML. So let us see an example. Okay, this is an input. Now this is an input of the type text. Let's save that. Now this is it. This is the text. It's a text input. So it's just used to collect text information like name. We want to collect the person's name, the person's first name, surname, last name. We're going to use this text. We also have one for email. Inputs. Type. Now these are the various type of inputs that we have. We have the button, we have checkbox, we have color, we have a date, we have a date time local, email, file, image, a whole lot. So let's just check email. So this is the email. It looks very similar to text, but of course there are differences which I'm going to check later. There are differences, but this is how an email looks like. Then let's just check a password. Let us see how a password look like. Alright, this is a password. Let us see how a password is going to look like. Alright, this is a password. Can we see? It's the normal, it's giving us the default behavior of a password input. And that is whenever you click on it, it's going to obscure whatever you're writing. It's going to give it these bullet points. It's turning them into bullets. That's the password field. We have color picker. We have a whole lot inputs. Let me see, type of color. This is a color picker. You can see here. Now that is for the color. We have a whole lot, so you can always explore these things in your free time. We also have one for submit. If you want to submit it, we have one for submit. Look at it. Submit. Now let's give the value of submit. Alright, so this is the submit. It's acting like a button. The value is just going to take whatever is going to be inside. So this is the submit. It's just acting like a button. Whenever I click on it, you notice it is reloading. So all these inputs, they also contain another property, which is the required property. So as the name required sound, it means it is compulsory, it is required. So I place this required on the email. So let us try to submit this form. As you can see, please fill out this field. You cannot submit it unless this field is filled out. So that's the required property. I can just say for as you can see, it's even giving us a warning already that you should include the art. This is an email field. The art must be included. So if I include the art and I continue, alright, then I can submit. So there are a whole lot, so you can always try to check the various type of inputs that we have. We also have something called the text input. So what is a text input? So in case you want to collect, you want to send somebody a mail, you want people to send you mails from your website. Of course, there's going to be a field that is going to be bigger. People can actually type out their messages. You cannot do that with the text input. It is quite small. So we have something called the text field, or the text area rather. So we have something called the text area. And let's see how it looks like. This is the text area over here. So it's where people can type in as much as they can. It's just used to collect people's messages. And if you notice, all of this, they are all inline level elements. They are all inline level elements. You can also change the behavior of an inline level element. Of course, for now, we just use it like an input, anchor tag, span. They are all inline level elements. But you can also change their behavior to make it a block level element. But we'll discuss that when we are doing CSS. So for now, I just want you to know about the fact that there's block level elements, they are inline level elements. And like we said, inline level elements, they are just going to take the width of their content. While block level elements, they will span across the entire page. And these are some examples. We have the span, image, anchor tag, we have the forms, we have the inputs. The input are also two type of inline level elements. So these are another inputs that we didn't check, and that's the checkbox. Input checkbox. Alright, we see checkbox in case you want to download the software and they tell you, okay, you have to click it that you've accepted the terms and conditions. So that's usually represented with the checkbox, and this is it over here. That's the checkbox. We also have radio buttons. Let me just, okay, input radio. Alright, we also have radio buttons, and this is a radio button over here. There's a radio button down there. Alright, so these are just some inline level elements and some block level elements. There are also different types of, we have a lot of elements, a whole lot. But is it compulsory for you to know the entire elements that we have in HTML? It is not compulsory. You just need to know the most basic, the one that is going to be used a whole lot of times, and some of that's what we've discussed here. In our next class, we're going to check how we can check other elements and what are their usage. So we've just seen for forms, we've seen span, we've seen image, we've just seen a little of some of the HTML elements. There are a whole lot, so we can also check the internet to see a reference. There are cheat sheets out there that will just tell you, okay, that will list out all the HTML elements we have and their purposes. So you can just pick, if you are working on any project and you need an HTML element for something and you don't know it, you can just check online, look at the HTML elements, then use it. But these are just some of the few HTML elements that we have. In our next class, we're going to go deeper into forms and see how we can properly use it. This is just an intro into some of these elements. So in our next class, we're going to check forms and see how we can use it properly. We're going to look at tables. We're going to look at forms. We're going to look at audio and video. We're going to look at some of these other HTML elements and see how we can actually use them in a real world project. Alright, so with that said, that's going to be the end of this class. We can always check in for our live classes where we explain this thing in-depthly. And in case you have any questions, please reach out as soon as you can. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.